Kaurua tutaku oe Kira toi te moana E pae ora o ngā tupuna I airunga e pura mai ana Te rauru o te tohu Moangi-angi te arariwa E mahina to'una ingo Ko te tu te ngā poki
Land ho! After 14 days at sea, we see Isla Pascua.
Land ho.
How does that feel?
Awesome.
Are you guys ready to get on land? What do you want? First thing.
Stability.
And yours?
I don't know.
Come on, you can have anything you want. What do you want?
A nice meal in a restaurant. That sounds good.
Hamburger?
A steak.
And you?
I want one of those commemorative heads. They have them all over the beach. You can just take one home.
An 80-ton one?
Yeah. I think they're going to have to charge me for carry-on.
All right, day 14. I didn't sleep last night, that's why I look a little crazy. And I washed my hair the day before, so it's looking a little snazzy. Look at this style. You like it? Yeah. I'm channeling my inner flock of seagulls. Yeah, we're gonna end up having the sun go down on us tonight, so we'll probably pass the island and then stay well clear of it, heave to, and then go in the morning. Plus, the last time I was here, the Navionics charts had us anchoring on the land. So, they look like they're a little better now, but we'll see. That remains to be seen. Back in my day, Navionics didn't work for shit.
Kahoe te moana e Atea Nui Atea Nui Atea Nui Atea Nui Kahoe te moana e Atea Nui
One of us needs to go in the water to check the anchor to make sure it's set and to make sure we're not in any coral or the anchor line and chain is not dragging on any coral. Volunteers?
I'm sick that day. My mom's calling. I can't swim.
You came on a 2,000-mile sail and you can't swim?
I've super glued myself to this chair and I don't think I can move.
How about one of you guys?
You first.
You haven't jumped off yet. I think it's your turn.
Yeah. Wow. It's pretty cold.
Okay, because it's cold? Is that the reason?
That and other reasons.
Guess I'm doing it. It's there's some big waves that are crashing right behind us. This is a pretty precarious place. I don't think now that we're the only sailboat here, because if I was a sailboat, which I am, I would be in Anacaina with this swell, which I think if there are any other boats here, they're not here. They're in Anacaina. So we're gonna check in and then hopefully the harbor's open. I'm gonna call them right now and make sure the harbor's open.
Atento velero, break of down. Este es Pascua Radio que lo llama también.
Pascua Radio, este es el velero Break of Dawn.
Break of down, este es Pascua Radio, buenos días. Interrogativo, pregunto, consulto si usted ya fondeó, tiró su ancla, ¿cambió?
Un más tiempo, señor, no entiendo.
¿Usted ya fondeó? ¿Está listo con su maniobra?
Sí, señor, pero estamos un poco más afuera del two coordinates, porque en mi mapa two coordinates son la Tierra.
Sí, correcto. Es por eso que lo llamo para corregir corregir el punto de fondeo, el punto, la coordenada entregada. ¿Le puedo corregir el punto entregado? ¿Usted está listo a recibir?
Sí, señor. Listo.
La coordenada correcta para que usted fondee su velero es 27 grados, 08 minutos, 21 segundos sur.
Me encanta.
Maravilloso.
All right, we made it. This is our first time on shore. How do you guys feel?
Drunk. Little ground still moving.
Yeah, slightly dizzy, but other than that, great.
How about you?
Very good.
Nice.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Nui.
This
Manuto.
This is Manuto. He came and picked us up. I got the number from the Armada, the Chilean Navy, and I called Minuto, and he said, yeah, I'll come. And then we said, hey, man, we need a car. Can you take us to a place to get a car? He's like, you want this one? So he's going to rent us this car. Well, this car. Like right away, we're on the island, 2 minutes, and it's already like the most personable, cool island. Muchas gracias, amigo.
Maururu, Korui, Pai Mayai,
Maururu.
Rapa Nui,
Sí.
Maururu. Oh, hey, ho!
¡Oh, hey, ho!
Eh,
¿Qué es el significado de eso?
Ese es una ya de grito de campeón, de felicidad.
Bonita, bro.
Eh,
Maururu. That's
Yeah,
thank you
hello.
in Rapa Nui language, okay? Remember that one.
Say that again.
Maururu.
Maururu. Thank you.
All right. Let's
Y
get...
Orana, vamos a la oficina, vamos primero a comprar el ticket para ingresar a los parques y así empiezan a recorrer. Y ustedes necesitan un guía que lo acompañe,
Okay, bueno.
si necesitan.
¿Tienes?
Y si usted quieren uno que habla bien inglés,
Por favor, porque
Perfecto.
ellos no hablan nada de...
perfecto. Entonces nos vamos al pueblo
Sí.
y conseguimos.
Qué bueno.
¿Te parece?
Gracias, amigo.
Perfecto.
Maururu.
Macho.
And again, we would pose so that I could explain to you a little bit of this existence where we had found Moai, the eye to the Moai that had given us a whole lot of light to the eyes, existing.
All right, before we start this, I feel the need to butt in here just to explain a little bit about Baltazar. English is his third language. He speaks Rapa Nui, Spanish, and English fluently. But he needs to translate sometimes in his head, so give him a break. He's such a good guy. A little story about Baltazar. When we met him that day, the day I took that video that you just saw, they were throwing a party on the island. He recommended that we go down to the beach to get some free food. They give away food in Easter Island. It's part of their culture. They cook a bunch of stuff under the ground. And somebody mentioned that it was over and they weren't giving away food anymore. And he went into the back of his car, brought us a box, and gave us what he had taken for himself. A big piece of meat and a big piece of fish, just so we could try it and have it. And that's the kind of guy Baltazar is. So enjoy this ride with him. This is going to be into 3 or 4 different sites on Easter Island. This is an all-day tour, and you get to come with us and see what we experienced that day. Enjoy.
I had instigated the office. This is not a very smart thing. They would use this sacred symbol as a carpet. Makes no sense, but ignorance does that. Orongo was named, Poko Uri was named, Karikari was named where the lava had flown into the sea, creating a very low part where the runners of the birdman competition would be positioned at the bird calling altar at Orongo. These athletes would run down the cliff and would have adversaries in different places hiding in the stones, so they would be killed. They have to be careful with their float and their egg protector. They would jump in the water, make their way 4 miles total to this islet. This islet, you would have friends and foe. You would see access to an albatross egg or several. Put one in your protective pouch, jump back in the water with your float or pora, and you would swim back to the kari, make your way up to the bird calling altar where the priest and your sponsor will be waiting, and your sponsor will make you or a member of your family chief or chiefess for 1 year. Here at Orongo at this time, you would additionally have a holy matrimony, would be a consecrated matrimony takes place, and you would be married to a virgin. Your child would be born at this monastery, would stay behind with your wife, educating obedience, while you go to the other side of Rapa Nui where the short ears are, Hanau Epe. That's where you would be mingling with the people, the royals and the priests at that site considered the United Nations of Rapa Nui. Tongariki, we will be there with that history later. The monastery didn't need much to be worked on. It had been caved and retunneled many times by the ancients. And so we have them here. They have the depiction, illustration here at the office of the school. The office of the school will be the reception where, colors will be receptioned to the runners, to the Hopo Manu athletes for this competition. Many of these ceremonies will be taking place here. One of them is the Birdman competition, where the priest and the priestess would be preparing food for all the clans and all the family and all their children flocking up here in September, for this ceremony. You would win, your signature goes on stone. You would consecrate a holy matrimony, none less to a virgin. Make, God Supreme, is in charge of everything that we do on the planet. Our depiction of this race, you can see the athlete and their floaters, and you can see the protector for their eggs. These athletes, Hopo Manu, they'd be from different tribes flocking up here. It's September, every September, to be the king, the queen, and their tribe for 1 year. Depicted here, illustrated, is the last winner, 1850s. We have Povaitea. Povaitea married Te Ohoaneru. Te Ohoaneru virgin were consecrated marriage by this priest. This priest is Hoa Hakananaia. Hoa Hakananaia has this, would be petroglyph at the back of Hoa Hakananaia. The rectitude of matrimony would be the law of matrimony. Make, mana, matamua, mama pacha. Here, it's right there. Mo, for I, existence. Matamua, vision. Mana would be make. It's all right here in this marriage of family, children, law, rectitude. This moai, this holy moai, visionary, were given to England by my family as a friendship from one royal to the next. The slavers here apparently were being scared by Captain Cook and their uniform. So as the slavers would leave towards the horizon when the English came in 1777, my family noticed they were scared of the English. So we made the English our friend. This moai, Hoa Hakananaia, plenty of friendship to give. So we tied friendship, one royal to the next. Captain Cook's boat, we were able to paint in mahute and different cloth, and we would present it here, earth color with coral crushed in fire, paste made with banana juice, with permanent all colors in Rapa Nui in general. So the site, we didn't need much to really restore. it had been quite restored by the elders. These stones, keho, we were able to pick up from the crater here itself. The moai, one of its kind. Yeah, we carved it here on the other side by atare, the bedrock. Yeah, it's right at the volcano. You could walk all the way in the rim of this volcano onto the other side. By atare, you could walk back on your own without a guide. In any case, we were able to have this taken out. It is a stone of poro. My poro is the product. This stone specifically, it would be a marble Rapa Nui moai. Yeah, we carved it, and today my family is carving a likeness from the same bedrock. We identified the bedrock. We already have cuttings in that bedrock with diamond cutters. We will be able to extract another Hoahakananaia pretty soon, one of these years. Here, when you swim out to the islet, Motu Nui, one of the islet, you would find a lot of human bones and a lot of depicted paintings pertaining to different ceremonies, especially the ceremony of the Birdman cult, the last of these gigantic ceremony. Rapa Nui celebrated much of their ceremony, or all of them, in front of the moai. They would lift these rongorongo writing tablets of Rapa Nui. They'd be rongorongo, would be commandments of God. They would be the rectitude form of taking care of the planet, everything invisible and visible. We would have a rectitude form of maintaining and having a beautiful relationship with all the elements God gave us. That is the goal of the Rapa Nui writing, rongorongo. We were able to put a lot of these writings in the stones here, so we would have it and depict it onto other copies, so that we would not have the original lost. These writings here at the monastery, at the school site. Here, Orono Obedience Center, it is elementary, high schools, secondaries, would be university. It's where they make priests. Let's go to this site and see it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
We had no supermarket in the 70s, not even in 1973 when the airport opened up. That's when we first witnessed the products coming in from Chile. 1973, we were able to see processed food, such as milk, such as butter, such as what bread would be packaged. We never saw these before 1973. Yeah, we would jump in the water and run after the ships. We would swim out to the ships, and we would have the opportunity to trade. They would give us blue jeans, and they would give us candy, chocolate, even bottles of booze. So that would be some of the products we would get. Some of the men would get like knives. We would get pieces of metal that would be fashioned as different tools to carve and cut. My grandfather would use these iron and would cut it with other iron, used these iron from Williamson Bellport of England, had left a lot of these iron, and the elders would manipulate these iron pieces, break them down into chisels. These stones you see in front of you are riddled with different kinds of writing and petroglyphs. They would be in different stages of these, and had been fading away, and many of these stones with these writings, these petroglyphs, had slid into the sea over there at those mounds. There are so many of these mounds, slowly these stones slide into the sea. If you can get a little closer, you could see perhaps from this angle here a little bit of insinuation of a human back and the leg extended. That would be, the head would be the head of a bird. These depictions are everywhere. Here is a lot older than that one. Here had been older. It's completely faded completely behind there, but it was riddled with these. Here we will be able to see in this center many of these, especially at the bird calling altar. there we will see very clearly these birds and these motifs that has to do with this ceremony of the Birdman cult in later years. Obedience Center in general is where they hold religious beliefs and religious teaching, obedience in general. There would be here, the rongo rongo was taken from these stones at the bird calling altar. They'd be inside where the priests stand, be dimensions of different sorts of dimensions, small and large ones, and this would be the Rapa Nui writing in general. Accumulated between them are these writings of their ceremony, which would be later on. This here, what is it? Yeah, it is a hospital, a maternity where your child was born. So what we have here inside are different plants of medicine, like matu'apua'a. Matu'apua'a is this. Yeah, that plant right there is matu'apua'a. It's sticking out, it's filled inside here and filled everywhere in Rapa Nui with these plants. They would be anti-cancer. Matu'apua'a, you would rasp the root. It'll show a color of orange. You add a little bit of milk, anything really, sugar to make it, honey, make it sweet if you'd like, and then you would drink it. It's wonderful. It kills it's anti-cancer, kills interior cancer. You could see here depicted are the nicknames for these islet. Motu Nui, Motu Iti, Motu Kau Kau. Big islet, side islet, middle islet would be the good fellows that stand in deep waters of the people of Ta'anga, the holy city in Hiva before it sank. Ngā kope tutu waya te ta'ata would be these, and we would commemorate every Rapa Nui history and data into songs and dances and different types of these. Yeah, makes sure they don't go away, and they're always with us and doesn't fade.
Is that the island that
Exactly. They would swim out to these islets all the way from Karikari. On the other side of bird calling altar would be this Karikari, the lowest part, where they would have an altar of 6 moais. They'd be small moai, about a meter. 6 of these moai are in the water. They had slid into the water. You could see the perfect altar, ahu, that's there, and with a lot of archaeological vestiges, tunnels inside in this cliff, and we had shut it off to the public because of would be danger of sliding. Would be omission entrance, would be a respectable form of entering someone's house on your hands and knees. This would be for all edifications of Rapa Nui. Right here you see would be the symbol of this place. It would be the what would be the name right here. You have 2 birds and a small bird, and this would tell us that it would be the mom and the dad together. Dad in the back, mom in front, and in front of mom on mom's leg is a little toddler.
Everybody was birds, huh?
Yeah. You became a bird woman, bird child. You would learn obedience here in this school. Elementary, secondaries would be college, university for priests. Here you can see right there, it's riddled with that matu'apua'a medicine. Matu'apua'a is one of Rapa Nui's anti-cancer. It's right there next to the fern. The fern is different from the matu'apua'a. You can see it. The fern has pointy leaves. Matu'apua'a not so pointy.
Oh yeah.
But there it is. The distinction would be the matu'apua'a is medicine and the fern isn't.
This is Matu'apua'a.
Exactly.
Right there.
On the right, directly
The
next
broad
to the wall.
leaf.
Yeah. It is anti-cancer. It's probably one of the most powerful against it. Not only shark liver fat is excellent for burns, excellent for skin cancer, and for other treatments of the body, this plant too. Many other plants in Rapa Nui right here at this site, like Ra'akau and Pito Pito, they're here. These are Rapa Nui's medicine. As obedient children would obey, their children would be embedded with by their parents and the elders. Yeah, all the knowledge of medicine, processing, elaboration, etc. would be dances, would be history. Yeah, you would be taught these. If you show sign of respect, sign of obedience, you would be embedded with a lot of information. That's how we carry information in my culture. We bring them here, and as you can see, yeah, child's play. We would use the Rapa Nui style of construction. No nails, no ties. It would be simply wedging. You would wedge. Force against force would create this wedging process. Every house in Rapa Nui of stone is used in this fashion. Wedging it in is Rapa Nui's style of construction. Omission entrance to this office, to this reception. Yeah, this is in this office. All receptioning ceremonial activities, yeah, would be cakes, would be food, chicken, fish, etc.
And how many people would live in a house like this?
Oh, they would not live here. Remember, it's a school.
Oh, this would be a school.
This will be a school. They would come here, yeah, just to be in school. There would be people working, custodians, cleaners. There would be a whole bunch of people working on food to distribute for the students. Students will be here. Different types of students, different grades of children, different grades of adult, different grades of people who had been embedded with different titles, such as priests, or you're studying law, or you're studying fishery in general, farming. This is where they trained that. Right here, we have this. It's a depiction of Make Make. Two eyes. These two eyes always watching us. They'd be petroglyphs everywhere of Make Make, indicating God is everywhere watching us. They would use these, pits, makoi, and they would play this game. It would be a usual children's game. It would be orthodox. So, more than 1,000 years old. Here is the poem. They would play, throwing these seeds inside the crevices of the stones. They create themselves. In many of these places where there are children, you would see these. The children. Given to them the different reasons. Here we have the bird more visible. It would be a priest. It had won the competition. It became a priest. Now it's got the hand in a prayer style. This priest will be in charge of these classrooms. The basins you see in front of you would be, consecrated for the children. They would consecrate, bathe them in here. For example, this one right here, with rituals, they would bathe children. You can see depictions of children inside the stone had been carved. And there's a child with that child's hat. Winning again, so they would be totally affirmed that this year might be their year too. A lot of young tribes had been competing, had been, with the best results of different athletes. They are for sure, ready to take out this year's winners. Here, depicted over and over and over again, would be the eye of God, accentuated many times, just two eyes watching us. Yeah. would be this, depicted with Rapa Nui writing of different sorts of ceremonies. In general, the writing of the Rapa Nui rongo rongo would be commandments of God, would be found here, riddled in different dimensions. Many of these stones carrying these symbols of the Rapa Nui writing have been sliding into the sea. We need to rescue them. We continue losing Rapa Nui. Through these cliffs, you can see, the runners would be consecrated. They'd be in front of this altar on the other side. They would be running down, the peak of two sides of cliff. And as they run, they very haphazardly, it reached down Guddy Guddy, the lowest part of this volcano, and you would have the small altar with 6 moais that would pass and be consecrated by passing by it, and then in the water make their way onto Motu Nui, the big isle, and then make it way back. It would be a total of about 4 miles. Mountains, the water sweet, would produce fish, would produce plants. The ocean, with its own, would be the richness of the ocean, the richness of the mountain. These two worlds is where this monastery sits on. Oromo, obedience. It's what this place is about. My culture in general, would be obedience. I remember you had to listen to the elder. There's only one law in Rapa Nui today. Obey your elder. Beautiful tattoo you got there, champ. Great, excellent decision. In fact, the total represents counseling. There would be psychologists, and the moai is our guide to Makemake. When they are consecrated by in the moai, it's a consecrated ahu. A consecrated ahu or high altar is habilitated for crematory. Another bird on this side has faded, but there it is, holy matrimony. You can see where, Makemake here. You can see it over here, which is right here. Okay, 2 eyes, the nose, make out the face. You can see it here, right there. Where? Right here. 2 eyes, the nose. Perfect. This face of Makemake and some of the other that had been fading. The stones we see here in front of us are riddled with these Makemake, with these birds, and with other depicted writing of the Rapa Nui. They're here. They're under this grass.
Look at it everywhere. There's petroglyphs everywhere.
Exactly.
Every single rock has petroglyphs.
Exactly. And it bewilders me that they had taken their time to carve a petroglyph, and not just carved it correctly with love. This grass is the most special of these on the planet. Would be this grass, nga'atu. What's nga'atu? It's a product of totora. Totora is what they would call by the natives in Central America. We would call it nga'atu in Rapa Nui. It is this plant that grows in Titicaca. Titicaca in South America. Here, well, we don't know which volcano was planted first. We as Rapa Nui believe it is ours. We brought it from Hiva before it sank. We took it to South America and planted it in South America. We didn't get a chance to plant what we have here in South America on the lateral part of this volcano, but we were able to plant nga'atu in Lake Titicaca. With that nga'atu, we were able to build huge ships. Because Rapa Nui had suffered slavery, burnings, we had a lot of problems with our plants. It had been burnt, reburnt many times. And because of that, we were able to replenish it from Manavai planters around Rapa Nui. As sites would suffer, we would replenish it from other sites. This grass, we were able to build the biggest ships on the planet. We were able to do this because the continent of Hiva was sinking 3,000 years ago, and so the royals were looking for a way of escape. They were building these ships for years, waiting as the water rose. So in one of their prayers, they were able to contact and have a perfect contact with divinity. Make comes into the scene and takes this priest, Haumaka, sumo priest, puts it in an albatross and instructs the albatross to fly into the sun. Hanging in the sun, according to Make, is the navel of Earth. They came in upon this and they flew back. The 7 explorers were executed to Rapa Nui. These were the best of teachers in Orongo and Hiva. So these 7 explorers were able to come to Rapa Nui and be able to see in the same trajectory as the bird, albatross, that yes, indeed, hanging in the sun is where the royals would pose. So 3 ships entered Rapa Nui. 7 tribes entered Rapa Nui from Hiva. So we took hold. We remembered when we entered Rapa Nui, this lake was just a lake. There was no plants here, described by the albatross. As the albatross is flying into the heat, suddenly this coolness, as the albatross and the priest is feeling the coolness, the priest is looking down and sees this great dark. Ta calls this the great dark. Yeah, Poko Uri, it's the great darkness, the great dark, insinuating the color of the water. This plant, you could build huge ships. The very first ship that entered Rapa Nui carried 3,000 people. King Hotumatua, wife Vakai, gave birth to the octopus, the very first citizen of Rapa Nui, Tumaheke, at the beach where now it's called Birth Harbor, Anakena.
Where exactly did the Birdman go down the mountain?
Yeah, this is Birdman platform right here. In this platform, you see it right there. In this high rock would be consecrated runners. And these Hopumanu would be in line right there. And at the 22nd of September, as the light of the sun hits the face of Huria Urenga Moai on the other side, it would shine directly over the Birdman's eye on this site here, Orongo, where we are. The bird calling altar would be the Hoahakananaia altar right here. So as the light, the 22nd of September, shines at the Huria Urenga Moai, looking at the sea on the other side of Rapa Nui in the east, it lines up with the bird's eye at the Hoahakananaia altar, lines up with these 7 holes, lines up perfectly with Make, lines up perfectly with the good fellas standing in deep waters of the people of Tahanga. It is, the equinox. It's when the sun is most south. Now it's shining on the back of the Moai. Friendship plenty to give initiates the fires called La Hirenga. The competition initiates. The runners would start running down. That's when we know it is equinox. That's when we know we can eat the big fish. That's when we know that different types of farm food. That's when we know that it's safe to eat the big fish, such as swordfish, such as tuna, everything that would be of great dimension, even whales. We could catch them. They're not pregnant.
So where exactly would the runners go? They would go right down this face and into the water?
Yes, you could. We would see it a little bit from up there. We would see a perfect trajectory of these runners.
Okay, cool. Let's see it.
Yeah, and then from the other side we will stop just to see it better. You can see how dangerous the trajectory is. You can see where Wahurikiriki, the small altar, is right on that mound right there. There would be a line, and then the ahirenga fires would be fired, and then the flames and everything, initiates this competition.
Wow, that's dangerous as hell.
Yeah, it is dangerous as hell. A lot of people fell, a lot of people got killed. Hopefully you would have more than 5 runners in your tribe. If you have only one, you might have 6 people in another tribe. They'll kill you very easily. It's nice to have maybe 5 or 10 runners.
This site is epic. It's like almost like the Grand Canyon. It's one of those things you just can't appreciate unless you see it with your own eyes. You guys gotta come here and check this out. It's just ridiculously beautiful. I can't believe this is a real place. So pretty. If you can't, enjoy this view.
Yeah, and along the coast, along the cliffs, all over Rapa Nui is riddled with sheep. These goats were left by the company Williamson Bellport. In their opportunity, these goats decided to go into the cliffs and stay there. They're riddled in the cliffs themselves. It's very hard to go into these caves. A lot of these caves, such as the caves of the Virgin on the other side of Rapa Nui in the north, it is a beautiful cave where it had been the school of virgins, riddled with petroglyphs of these ceremonies inside. Very beautiful cave, a composition of 2 compartments. Well, we hear so much about it. Today it is dangerous to go around the cliffs. Many of these caves were archaeological finds. Is habitated by these goats. So they're very dangerous. If you happen to be at the entrance, you have to really have experience, be guided by somebody with great experience. Otherwise, you could be hit by a goat and you would you would lose your life.
That's crazy.
Yeah. These lakes you see here, the entire lake, this grass, you can build the biggest ships out of these. Yeah, you could see the trajectory of the Birdman runners. The Hopu Manu athlete would be right at Bird Calling Altar, and they would run right on, the very top of the 2 sides of the cliffs. It'd be very rigid, very dangerous. Yeah, you would be a super athlete trained to do this.
Run down that thing.
Yes, it is. The fact that you would be having rains of stone from foe hiding in the cliff area.
Not part of the competition.
That'd be illegal? Yeah, it happened here. This altar would be the altar of the Ho'ahakanana Ia. It is a mathematical altar. You could see a numerical altar. Yes, this would be the equinox. The most southern of the sun would be indicated by this altar. Right here, you could see different make, which would be depicted God always watching us. So these depictions, they're everywhere. In the solstice of the 22nd and the equinox, the 22nd of September, Ho'ahakanana Huria Urenga on the other side would be standing at her ahu. That's right, it's a she moai. Huria Urenga would receive, she would be looking at the setting, at the sunrise at the east, then would shine the light on her face, shining in the eye of this birdman. This albatross would shine directly in this hole, shine in this hole, shine in this hole, in this hole, in that hole, in these holes, would shine directly with that make stone right there, and shine directly into the ocean. The good fellows that stand in deep waters of the people of Ta'anga, Motuiti, Motunui, Motukaukau, would be a perfect lineage, and it is the equinox. The Ahirenga flames a flame, and this competition initiates.
Cool.
Make looking here and looking there. On here, you can see a little bit of this picture. Yeah. It would be one of Rapa Nui's symbol right there. We have so many of these symbols carved everywhere. Many of these are fading, and it fades without people ever getting to see them. They're depicted in these stones. You would have to take your sweet time to study them closer. This one is a little different. We don't know what this animal is. It looks like some kind of newt, some kind of duck. We have no idea. We depicted this stone. There is the original underneath in the volcano itself. It's right at the lateral part. You would be walking, you would run into this stone. We got this stone here, and we were able to use machines, modern equipment, to carve what you see here. It would be exactly what is on the stone inside the crater. We don't know what this design is, this bird. We know what this is. Here on this side we have this again. It looks like a fish and some kind of duck. We don't know what it is. We know the egg, and we know the hand of the bird. Here we can see this. It's a penguin. From what we can understand what a penguin might be. Here is very unusual. We don't know what it is. It looks like a Viking. Maybe Vikings in Rapa Nui in modern times. It doesn't surprise me. Vikings were also after the big fish. Rapa Nui is in the way. It's in the highway of the big fish. Many nations had been brought here, going after the whales. So the Vikings being here after the whales, why not? This design up here, we know what it is. This design would be, Pu'ativeka would be the spirit of the ocean. Pu'ativeka would be the great defensor, would be defending, would be, this would be your guardian angel in the sea. Pu'ativeka, it is this, would ward off, would be the bad experience you would have at sea. Pu'ativeka is your, would be guardian.
And the word literally means pua'ativeka.
Pu'ativeka would be ward off. Ati, danger. Warding off danger is the task of Pu'ativeka.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yep. Fill your bag, get back in the horse, and get back to town. 2 hours, maybe even 6 hours, depending upon the transportation. How hard it is. It's pretty hard until you get really used to it. Exactly. So here in this stone, you would have this, would be here. This bird is orienting, looking to exactly the Antarctica, would be the most southern of the world, where we know comes from. And this one right here is looking at the sunset, where the sun sets on that side there. Would be two priests. They would celebrate mass right here. Right here, people would consecrate, and they would, celebrate mass right where we are. On this, here on this side, you could see here, Ataranga would be this depiction of eyes to the skies. Eyes to the skies would be Rapa Nui's symbol of their flag. They meedle.
This wind is ripping right here. It's coming right over the top of this volcano. It's like, it's hard to walk.
It's very rare that we would find a lake, opening up like this, and being able to swim from here all the way to the other side is quite a joy. These grasses would be open and shut according to the wind. So you would have huge dimensions of lake opened up, and then you would have riddled in between closings, as you see. These breakages are caused by the wind. Everything floats on top of this lake.
Is it fresh water?
Fresh water, it is the best water in Rapa Nui. The United States have it channeled. It's one of Rapa Nui's best water.
Oh, really? This is the drinking water that
Drinking
goes
water,
to the city?
drinking water. It was
Seriously?
piped down by the United States. It feeds today all the uniforms that abound at the bottom of this Ranokau. So they enjoy this beautiful clean water. All the mountains you see in Rapa Nui are extracted from underneath that administer water to different sections of the island. One of the cleanest is this water.
Cool.
Done so that you could have your fingers and you could see your index fits right in there, just like the original carver had intended it. He had manipulated it so that his thumb could fit exactly. It's wonderful. So this tool, I'd gather, would be, it'd be on auction for a lot of money. This talkie, that talkie, this talkie would be the genuine carving tool. You can see the indentations. You can see exactly how your hand would, be manipulated into place, and you would hold on with a lot of comfort and with a lot of security and confidence. So you could bang anything hard with that, creating a moai. Hold on to it so that you can see that this is the actual tool that was originally used. We don't know which moai, but it was the actual genuine tool held by the hands.
You could swing that a couple million times.
Wow.
Yeah,
It'd be
you
a
could swing
workout.
that. Yeah, it'd be you can imagine running down that cliff after carving a moai for several years. You would just become a bird. You would have that sensation. You would have that confidence. You, in fact, could access in the water by jumping from way up high, where normally human beings wouldn't do it, but you can do it. You've had a lot of training. And then you would manipulate only 1 meter of space. The next guy next to you manipulates the next meter. So you would have a moai with 6 meters. 6 people would be carving that moai. Could you imagine 12 people, 6 on either side? The moai was much easier to carve than we had thought. So how did the moai come down from the cliffs? The bedrock itself would be carved as the last blow, bringing that huge slab of stone into a contemplated hole. The contemplated hole would hold the moai, and we would initiate manipulating by removing the grounds. As we remove left, right, and the back forward, you can see the moai being leaning as we remove the earth. So as we remove the earth, the moai would be, possible to carve what is being exposed. So how did the Moai come down from up there? We would create the trenches, zigzag them, and we would have the Moai trajection as the Moais in front had gone. So the ones behind would follow the trajections of the one in front.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, this great mountain is called Aroma Mountain. Aroma Mountain would be Maunga Eo. It is this mountain. Rano Raraku would be Raraku extracted Rano volcano. Here, mountain Aroma has a lake inside. The lake had dried and we were able to find moai with manipulated eyes. So we believe we will be able to find pupils and eyeballs inside the mud. So we prohibited tourists and visitors from going in until scientists and different family members could study this mud and be able to see that, yeah, there's nothing in there. And then eventually water would settle in and create this huge lake. And then this lake was responsible for the water used to carve the moai. You needed water to manipulate stones. Perfect place for these. And the long ears. And the long ears Momoko reptiles would be responsible for this big moai. The one next to it had been done much recently compared to the first. Maybe you've got a difference of 30 years between that moai and this one. So you can see them both destroyed. Yes, they were destroyed not only by slavers, but by qualms and problems they had with tribes and food shortages much later on as the population of Rapa Nui increased. Yeah, so were problems. Tribes attacking other tribes, personal reasons. You took my girlfriend, one of your moai is knocked down the next day. Yahweh is the name of the Jewish for their God. In the scrolls of the Jewish describes God's name as Yahweh. Yahweh is a Rapa Nui expression. Yahweh means, yes, me, I have it all. It is a Rapa Nui expression. I love it. I don't know how this moai got this name, but it is Yahweh. My uncle Kakapa, my first cousin John Matapiripiri, many of my family, yeah, we unearthed everything on this moai. We took all the earth and we were able to measure. My first cousin Matapiripiri climbed up to the top and held the measure stick, and we were able to measure all the way from top to bottom. It is 9 meters. This moai Yahweh, it's 9 meters. It is beautiful. It's waiting for their family to consecrate, walk them to their altar. The next moai would take position. These 4 moai behind Yahweh are short ears. There would be Hanau Eepe. Yahweh is Hanau Momoko. Long, yeah, would be reptilian, reptile, Hanau Momoko. And here, there are no special direction or, yeah, orientation. Every moai is coming down from their birthplace. It is here, just like everything was born from the volcano itself. God commissioned us to be here. Remember the 3 ships that had come to Rapa Nui 3,000 years ago. Each ship had a moai of about 1 meter. Apparently, these beings were presented to the people in Hiva, the Hivians. Before the continent sank, these Hivians were able to make their way to Rapa Nui. Here in Rapa Nui, because of these aliens had been introduced to them in Hiva by Makemake, here they were able to carve it, propagate it, and the religion continuing, the religion of Rapa Nui, Orthodox, Aringa Ora, living face, living, which would be vision. The consecrated colors will be 296 here. Yeah, there would be coral, melted in fire with banana juice.
No way.
Yeah.
These are two of the most famous.
Yeah, exactly. This will be here. The husband would be with a tilted head, tilted forehead. Tira, hira. They look like, yeah, a little bit of shining white there. That would be fungus. And they would be looking a little darker, a little bit more like beige. There would be coral painted.
So were the moai painted after they were carved?
Yes, many of them would be painted, determined to be painted by different colors. So yeah, they would paint the moai. Moais were painted. Takona, yes, they were takona'd. There were the earth color tones of different colors. They'd be psychedelic, different colors. They would actually, yeah, adorn the moai with colors. We would see these colors still on the moai ahead of us.
So behind me is two of the most famous moai in the world. This photo is iconic for the island. And turns out, I just learned that they're husband and wife. There's the husband, there's the wife. Wow, amazing. Thank you for that information.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you can see another woman right over there between us. Yeah, right back there with the big ears, big nose. Hey, was shot by muskets. You see it right there? That's a big woman. That's a woman. The one on her left is her husband. I guess she might have two husbands. There is one on the right too. And there's their child is right behind her.
Beautiful. So you think that you think that the Rapa Nui people should take these moai and put them on an ahu?
Yes, some of these is correct to consecrate, walk them to their ahu and be able to use the ahu as a crematorium for their family, taking away the cemetery of the Christians that's creating a lot of havoc and misunderstanding.
And how would you know where they went?
They would, you mean the dead?
No, the moai.
Yeah, the moai. Well, you would have to carve and be able to consecrate, walk to your sites. The moais that are already carved, you can't do anything about it because it's already there. It was determined to specific places and altars of the different families. Since we don't have these data, we can't continue with the same moai. But we could extract and be able to create new moai and create our new altars and be able to continue this process of crematorium on the ahu. Not only that, all ceremonies of the Rapa Nui religion, vision, matamua, there would be aringa ora. We need to continue our religion. We do it today in many different ways and insinuation, but we need to speak Rapa Nui and teach the Rapa Nui language to everyone and be able to carry it through university like they do in New Zealand and be able to recultivate this religion in Rapa Nui. This is vital for the human understanding. In my opinion, it is very valuable information. The Rongorongo Rapa Nui writing of the divinity of God, the virtue of these, it's insinuated in these commandments. And obviously, Orongo Obedience Center being our school, we need to continue the school of obedience. Today, we speak, read, write Rapa Nui. And what we learn in Rapa Nui is the people who read, write, and speak Rapa Nui. Yeah, we are the Orthodox in Rapa Nui. We're responsible for teaching farming, fishing, and what be intellectual material of our religion and archaeological existence. So we carry these teachings, and we believe, since Rapa Nui is one of the first language on the planet, it is a clean language, and we who speak that language, we believe that it is what we need in Rapa Nui to really get our project and our future splendidly to grow and become the splendid Rapa Nui we are. And we need to not go with what we're doing today, accepting the outside influence in schooling, and it's really none of our positiveness here in Rapa Nui. We don't need outside school. We need our own school, Rapa Nui. Many of my family who never went to school, they are the best fishermen, best farmers, and the best scientists in Rapa Nui, psychologists, and they'd be somewhat priests. I'm very proud of my culture. Say, guys, that this is one of the original ships that had been entered Rapa Nui waters for the very first time. This ship had carried more than 3,000 people on board. Second ship, 2,000 people. Third ship with the priests, 1,000 people. Wavarepua, the captain of her ship, 2,000 people entered waters, and Rapa Nui hit Hangarau. And this ship here was the first Hotumatua with 3,000 people on board. Bakai, the wife, had given birth as they entered the Bay of Anakena, renaming the bay Birth Harbor. For the firstborn, the octopus would be Tumaheke. This ship, you can see very well, has 3 masts, and they would be very tall masts. Ship itself would be like this. At the bottom of the ship inside, there would be a trijection. The trijection for this stone. The stone is the navel of Earth, would be used here. This stone is called an equilibrium stone that would roll back and forth from bow to stern, keeping the ship at equilibrium in the sea. That's what my grandmother told me. Each ship had one of these stones. Watching my grandfather's design on this ship, yeah, it makes me understand that this ship, yeah, indeed is one of a Hivian ship. The continent of Hiva had sunk, and 3 of these ships, commissioned by god Makemake, and the priests were able to make their way to the navel of Earth, where we are today. It's made out of nga'atu, a special grass that floats. Yeah, its sails are made out of nga'atu. Yeah, this. It had won the albatross, the egg at the Obedience Center, and had further studied and had become, yeah, a priest. So, indicated by the flying albatross. We have the albatross right there on the wall, so depicted in that wall, slowly, yeah, melting. You see it in great dimension right there, the tail like a fish at the bottom, and it works its way back up in a V, in a figure of a V, and that would be the body and the dancing wings. That would be the albatross in flight, would be an indication of, this would be the symbol of priests. Priests would be symbolized by this albatross of age. And there it is, and here you have these 2. They are priests. These They are priests. I asked the most confidentiated carver in my tribes, many of them. So they insinuated that each moai was carved by only 1 meter pertained to the carver. Another carver, another meter. Consecutively, that you would have 6 carvings here, carvers, and you would have 7 carvers up there, indicating 1 meter for you and 1 meter consecutively for the next workers, carvers next to you. They would carve their moai for the family, for their tribe, representing their splendor, their most outstanding citizens. That's worth
thumb hole.
Yeah, everything is right there, so that is worth money. Yeah. Wonderful. Here it is, guys. It is the genuine turkey. You could see it in different holdings. That would be the best hold right there. It's the same as the other ones. They would take their time to nudge in on these finger holes. Look at it. It's perfect, like an instrument. Perfect.
And then how exactly would they carve the moai?
Yeah, you would just simply would be here. You've got 1 meter, and yeah, you would be manipulating them. You would swing your whole body. You would have a rhythm. You wouldn't be like this. You would use your whole entire body. Exactly. Toki, we would keep it here for others to appreciate it. We had so many of these Tokis everywhere 20 years ago. They'd be everywhere here, riddled with them. Different dimensions of Toki. Today, many of my families have taken them and hid them underneath the grounds so that only them know where they are. Which is what we do in the family. When we find archaeological vestiges, we always take them and we dig the ground and hide them beneath some stones. When we find beautiful moai, we would dig and hide them underneath piles and heaps of stones. This was my grandfather's rules. You find cranes, you gather them, and you put them further in the caves, and you put dirt on them, and stones, and you hide them. That is what we do with my family. We hide these vestiges in the ground.
When you say cranes, what do you mean when you find cranes?
Yeah, when you find human cranes.
Oh, heads.
Yeah.
Skulls.
Yeah, human skulls. This genuine moai here in this bedrock would be a natural rock, and insinuating the right arm, insinuating the chin, and the body of the moai would be here, the head, the face, in its most natural bedrock form.
This would be a huge moai.
This would be a huge moai, yes. Yes, indeed, it is a huge moai. You can see, yes, it is. Natural.
You guys see it? Look, this is the arm right here.
Oh wow.
And then there's the head, like just starting out to be on the
Oh,
ginormous moai.
Yeah. Wow. It's almost as big as me.
Ah, yeah, this would be you. Got the fingers right there. This would be you, Greg. If you have enough faith, you could tell this mountain, please move to another area. This mountain divided and it's being moved. I can see Moses up here carving and got angry at the people about faith and obedience, took these and threw them down, and they were carving, they broke. Yeah, that lost tribe of Israel, maybe Rapa Nui is that tribe. Nice. Here too, just like Buddha, it would be Rapa Nui's representative in human form. Here, they're not beings from God Make Make. They're not beings that are given to us, aliens from another world, God's world, and would be guiding us to Make Make. No, this gentleman is human. It's got a goatee, it's short ear. It would be a sumo priest. His name, Orohia. Orohia is Haumaka's brother, is Tukoihu's brother, would be amongst the sumo priests. He is here, depicted here in this, in this form would be Tukuturi is the position this moai is showing. This sitting position, it would be more like a kneeler. The kneeler, as most people call it, would be this, Tukuturi. It's sumo priest Orohia, and is here in a kneeling position. It's curious because this kneeling position has something to do with the prayer position of the Islamic religion. Muslims would be in this position when they pray, obviously orienting towards Mecca. Here, this moai, in the 50s, 60s, my great-grandparents were able to bring it out of the earth and stand it. It's orienting Orongo Obedience Center, where we were. Ka kimi te mara o te ariki, ko ngā kope te tūwai a te tāna e, ahau mākau hiwa, e kui e kua hawarua e, haka o iti mai ko e, I tere o te moa o Ariana, ku 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 kuru, o e te ariki e. Little segment.
Very good.
Very nice.
Beautiful, bro.
Beautiful.
That was awesome. Thank you for that. How did that moai get broken like that?
Yeah, you could see it.
You know?
No, I just questioned it just now. You can see that it was supposed to be standing, protruding outward. So why did it break in 3 different sections in the front? Why did the back stay like that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a very strange broken style. Because that style tells me maybe it was shot by a cannon. Now, where would the cannon come from?
It's pretty long range for a cannon.
Exactly.
I don't think that bay could reach up here.
How did it break? Tongariki chiefs that lean on each other. What we have here depicted, you can see here, these are the cylinders of honey honey. These cylinders of honey honey were extracted from Punapau. Punapau is the emptied well. Punapau would be in the center of town where these honey were extracted. They would be wheeled, by their family to here. You could see the suffering of other stones on these stones. This pumice stone blah would be a little softer than a normal stone, would be used as crown for the moai. Pukao formally is called. We would manipulate the stone, form it into what is called pukao, and then through the back of the moai we would set up steps. We would set it up so that you could keep elevating these. Once we keep elevating through the back of the moai, up on top we would put it inside the head of the moai and we would secure it, and then we would take the steps through the back of the moai right off. The steps are these paenga. They are blocks of paenga that would enable us to walk up the crown pukao, place it on the moai, and then take it back off through the back of the moai once it's on top of the ahu. These we weren't able to manipulate because the families themselves did not manipulate them to go in their moai. So we kept it here as a museum center. We were able to find a lot of moai riddled around, strewn. We had 6 moais standing on the ahu, was taken by the tsunami that entered in 1960, destroying Japan, destroying South America. The tsunami entered, took 6 moais off the platform standing, deposited them in the sea. We were able to rescue them out of the sea using the Japanese cranes. Scientists from Japan, from South America, from North America, from my family, we were able to come manipulate the moai back on their ahu high altars. Here we have 15 chiefs. They would be representing the largest tribes in Rapa Nui. More chiefs are on their way. They're underneath the ground, in the grass, and we have here one that's broken. They would have to build their own moai. Since we restored them, it would be nice to restore more of these chiefs and put them on top of this Tongariki high altar. Here we have 15 representing the tribes splendidly. The very first moai is a woman. Consecutively from left to the right, as we look at the moai, moai would be having a couple. When you carve the moai, you would carve a couple. You would consecrate, walk a couple, and you would stand here. So here at Tongariki, these moai are carved as a couple. Every 2 of them belong to one tribe, very large in Rapa Nui. Splendidly set up so that we can appreciate it right here at Tongariki. Pictures now, it looks like it's floating on top of the water. Pitokura would be this place. It would be, the translation of would be the interpretation of the navel of earth. The stone itself, representing the navel of earth, would be symbolic. Was rolled from Terevaka, the highest point of Rapa Nui, down to here. this area right here of Hangho'onu and was deposited right down here, Pitokura Harbor, and was being robbed by foreigners. My family, the tribes here, detained the stone right here, where we will go and appreciate it. This stone contains a lot of different metal. If you take a compass and place it on top, it won't stop spinning. So people, scientists think it's a geyser that had come from outer space. Actually, it's one of the equilibrium stone brought by each of the ships that entered Rapa Nui. It was used to equilibrium, rolling back and forth in this huge canoe of grass. It helped keep the ship at equilibrium, balanced in the sea. Let's go and see that.
Go ahead, guys. Are they hawks?
Yeah, they're hawks.
Are they native?
No, they were brought in by the Germans.
Bastards.
Yeah, they came with the grasshopper, these birds. They were let off by the Germans right on to Rapa Nui.
Is that it right there?
This is a moai.
Oh, I see.
When you have this moai standing on the ahu, it'd be the heaviest moai standing on an ahu wood, a crown, more than 20 tons. Had been destroyed, yeah, by slavers. Have to build another moai and bring it and put it on the ahu. But here is the treasure we're looking for.
Almost made it to the boat.
Yeah, almost made it to the boat. They were here. So they must have received rains after rains of stones. We were able to hold this stone in place, and they wouldn't be able to take it with them. This is, oh, thank God you did good recuperating from that eventual fall. This stone is magnetic. It would have the compass dancing all the time. It would be called by scientists here a geyser from outer space. My grandmother, yeah, she told me this stone equilibriums the ship. Each ship had one stone just like this. It would roll from bow to stern in this huge ship made out of grass. This stone was responsible to equilibrium the ship in the water. 3 ships entered Rapa Nui. One of them lost their stone. Utumatua had his, Wavarepua had hers. The priests lost their stone. They had entered Rapa Nui. Yeah, their ship had fallen apart big. So these 3 ships had their equilibrium stone. One of them didn't and had lost out in sea.
Are you guilty, Kitty? Are you guilty of vandalism? Are you a vandal, Kitty?
Guilty of vandalism.
That cat is responsible
You may shoot the scratching.
for all of this vandalism. All of
I
it.
had posed a question to everyone. You'd be amazed. No one would understand it.
Who's decimating the signs?
The cat, the feline right here, is responsible for this defecating these archaeological signs. So we would have to have this cat, yeah, imputated.
He's a vandal. You're a vandal. Kitty.
This criminal must be.
Criminal.
Hi, kitty, kitty, kitty.
She came all the way up here following you around. Now you're gonna leave without a kiss goodbye.
That's what I do. I'm a heartbreaker.
There it is.
Can't. I gotta leave him wanting.
She's definitely wanting. Look. Okay, so we don't have a very good background here, but it's not windy. And,
Okay.
And no, you can sit there, man. And I wanted to get some Okay, we don't have a very good background here, but these are the stories that you guys missed because it was either too windy or I wasn't filming. And there was a story that you told about like when you were a kid and they started building the airport and they would invite you to see movies. Can you just explain that one more time on camera, not in the wind?
Very beautiful. The airport was finished in 1973 by the United States. So it was opened for the very first time to Chile. So that's when we got Chilean citizens to come to Rapa Nui. That's when we were able to see them in school for the first time, 1973 onward. That's when the United States had finished the airport, had finished all infrastructure of Rapa Nui. The electricity was channeled into people's homes, cables for their lighting. Water pipes were piped into everyone's homes at that time. We were in 1973, around 200 houses in Rapa Nui. Only 400 people, 400 had taken off to Chile, South America on a ship. And so we had a lot of crisis at the time. We had no women, so you could imagine having a deficit of shortage of women, where 10 to 12, maybe even 15 men to a woman at the time in 1973. So it was very hard to have women. There were no women. The United States put in all the hospitals, put in all the bays, put in the airport, put in the pipes, the water, everything, infrastructure, the hospital. Had invited us to the movies. They set up a movie theater across the runway where we would go every weekend to see the movies. We would see cowboy movies, war movies. We would see, Tarzan, the ape man of the...
You had never seen a movie
He
before?
had never seen movies ever before, so it was wonderful to see that. It had brought modernization to Rapa Nui just at a time, 1965, 75. We were living in caves still, and my family enjoying fishing all the time, farming, and that's where we would live, and we would fish a lot and feed the communities with fish.
Can you describe what life was like when you were really small, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old?
Life at 5 for me was wonderful because at that time we were totally free in Rapa Nui, where we would be, the police, the people itself. We would be everything. Every family member would be, their own world. We would be by ourselves. There would be nobody from outside, nobody in Rapa Nui, just ourselves. When ships will go by, we would jump in the water and swim after the ships. I remember my Aunt Isabel Pacarati Tepano, my mother's youngest sister. She and a few of my cousins, Siporo, Shana, Kawae, they would jump in the sea and they would chase the ships going by to trade goods with them. They would have seashells, pure, heremeta. They would have maika, kuma, toa. They would trade with the ship. They would bring back blue jeans, would be jackets, would be knives, would be mirrors. We would get all sorts of cloth to make clothing. So it was beautiful. Chocolate, we would get alcohol sometimes. My grandfather would chase them down in his boat. My grandfather had climbed on one of the boats at night that had passed by and was able to access to the captain's boat, stole the captain's boat, with the motor on it, and it was Rapa Nui's first motor boat. My grandfather, a master fisherman, would show off this. They called it the Indian. Everyone called the boat the Indian. It was curious. In the 50s, my grandfather was able to rescue a full crew of 12 members of European whale hunters that had stranded, their ship lost at sea, where my grandfather rescued them from the other side of the cliff in Poike. The captain was walking, my grandfather was able to get the captain to come and drink some water from one of the wells. And then my grandfather, Santiago Caspar Pacarati, was able to put this captain on his horse, ride him back to town. The horse's name, Tikowui, and was able to get the Indian, the boat, and my great uncles would come onto the other side and pick up the other 11 crew members. These 12 stayed in Rapa Nui in town for 6 months, and obviously had relations with all my family members. So we have a lot of mixing in our blood and our families way from the beginning of time. Before we came here from Hiva 3,000 years ago, we were 7 tribes. We entered Rapa Nui. We became, living the navel of earth as God had commissioned us to come in and live here. We brought with us the rongo, which would be the commandments of God, and it would be the law of nature itself, how to live with nature in its most perfect form. We were able to bring moais with us from Hiva before we got here. We also brought in each ship a round stone that would equilibrium the ship of grass made out of nga'atu. And we settled right here at Anakena, at the first place where the royals had sat. Here at Anakena, you could see Turehuki. Turehuki is the representative judge with a lance. A Turehuki's friends would be the Ahunaunau called, would be a Turehuki's friends. A Turehuki Hoa, the formal name of this, with the 7 moai on top, would be the royal lawyers, would be the first royal lawyers in Rapa Nui, with the crown, with the pukao. They would be in charge of land division, food distribution, and the general fishing laws, and Rapa Nui in general. This site, Hangarau, would be Birth Harbor, where the first Rapa Nui citizen was born. The octopus would be Tumaheke. And we have a trench on top of these mounds inside this harbor, Anakena, a trench made by the Christians in the form of a cross. This trench is on top of this mountain. It has inside the trench deposits of 7 priests who were eaten by my family, and their bone deposited inside this trench. Tragic. We had a lot of situations with the corruption of the churches when entering Rapa Nui in the beginning, before 1888, when my great-grandfather Urepotahe Tepihi Teao became Nicholas Pancracio. The Chileans wrote his name Pacarati, and we became Pacarati. Today we have 60, maybe even 75% of the island is my family from the Pacarati.
Okay, I want to talk more about your childhood. What was it like when you were growing up? Like, what kind of living situation did you have? You didn't live in a cave, obviously.
Yes, as a child, 6 years, 5 years, 3 years since I was born, practically, I wasn't born in a hospital. I was born by the hands of my grandmother, cut the umbilical cord, wasn't in the hospital. My grandmother delivered me into the world and kept me for herself and my grandfather. I would be the obedient child. They would train me. Later on at 13, my grandmother would say, "Would you like to be a priest? Go to America?" I said, "Sure." And that's how I was able to leave here. When I went to America, everything in my head was, the sea and Rapa Nui, the caves where we would live, I would live, and I would train myself to be a fisherman. Simply scuttling the sea, would have different ways of fishing, and we would feel the stones to gather fish and different food that we would get. Parokoroko parokoroko horo horo was my favorite food. It'd be the perfect ceviche in Rapa Nui. So we would live along the seashore, moving from seashore to seashore, from Hanga Nui to Hangarau to Hanghaonu, and all over the coast and Rapa Nui in general. My family.
Did you live in a tent?
We would live in caves.
Really?
Most of the time, caves were favorite because it was solid and we could make fire inside. My elders would sing and tell stories and would educate us in these. My family had been nomads. We would be living mostly outside and we would be farming and growing our own food. Today, we have a lot of family members with cattle in different sections of Rapa Nui, and their cattle is to feed the families in Rapa Nui all year round, where we had festivities, 12 to 15 of them, where we celebrate, and the people in charge of cattle would give food and their meat for the entire community. Today, these earth ovens are becoming for everybody. The tourists and our visitors enjoy these when they come. My childhood, when I was a child, was wonderful. I lived a very primitive lifestyle where my food was fish, sweet potato, bananas. We would grow it in the country with my grandmother's family. She would be a country woman. She would be rearing animals. Married my grandfather, a master fisherman. We knew all conditions in the ocean. We learned how to read the air, the sun, the sky, the currents. These are what we know today. And in Rapa Nui, that's how we live, with these knowledge. And we share with our country family. We share with our fishing family. We had taught many family in Rapa Nui in the 70s and the 60s how to fish, different types of fishing, how to read the signs of the natural elements, the winds, the sun, the moon, so you can tell the weather conditions way ahead of time, maybe even months before. This is how we lived. Wonderful Rapa Nui, the navel of earth, my home.
Thank you very much, my friend. That was a great day. Appreciate everything. And yeah, next time we need a guide, you're the man we'll call.
Thank you. I appreciate sharing my religion and my archaeological, intellectual material of my family with you. My grandparents had come out with these, so I had to come out with mine. Recently, this year after the pandemic, my grandparents and my grandmother, who is my mom, came out pronouncing in old media what the scientists had recorded in the past.
Awesome.
I have nothing else to do but to come out and compliment what had been in the past. Today, we still all Rapa Nui speak, read, and write our language. Iorana, Maururu, Te Homai, Tō Socio, Amingo, Tātoa, Mai Te Ao Tātoa, Mātou Te Rapa Nui, Mohere, Yakorua Tātoa, Hai Hanga, Hai Pua, Yot Mātou Mahatu. Hangaroa Mātou, Moangi Angi, Korua Pehe Mātou, Vānanga nei, angi nei. Maururu, te korua o mai, hei tātoa hanga. Tātoa hanga mātou, mātai ki amu korua. Maururu.